that was a good one. This is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum against Impact Wrestling. This one most definitively from September 9th, 2021. A good outing, a good general week for the wrestling shows of note. Except for Raw, but come on. At this point, do we really expect that? I don't think we do. Impact really moving forward here. They're looking forward to their next major pay-per-view, and they're definitely laying the groundwork all over the place. Having Christian constantly on the show has definitely given them a sense of star power. Let's jump into it. We open with Rosemary against Tasha Steelz, and we're wanting to give Steelz stuff to do, her quest with her much larger partner to try to get the tag titles back. Ocoee. Rosemary, at the end of the day, finally recovers, gets the spear, gets the win. So kind of an odd way to get about it, but then Steelz and Savannah Evans steal the tag titles to kind of continue this rivalry. It's a match that really felt like it didn't get off of the ground, and Impact can scarcely afford that kind of thing. We got a bunkhouse match for our second match, Rich Swann against Carl Anderson. A really knockdown, drag-out affair that I thought really, really looked good. Gallows interferes, and then Carl Anderson gets a cutter from the ropes on a table that didn't break. It just looked brutal, and it was brutal. Carl Anderson gets a win over the number 10 on the PWI 500, Rich Swann. After the match, Gia Miller interviewed Mickie James, who basically implied she's gonna fight her. Gonna fight her because of that sneak attack at NWA Empower. It does really seem strange that Mac did it. I mean, obviously Mac's going to get involved later, but again, this kind of booking where things just aren't logical. I mean, so you make Swan fight basically two guys. I just wish those kind of details were just picked up more in wrestling in general, specifically Impact, who I think have to fight a guerrilla war and really dot their I's and cross their T's, in my opinion. I really wish they would. Chris Bay against David Finlay of Finjuice. And they really go at it here. And he gets a distraction from his partner and scores the win. And then after the match, Hikuleo, the huge Hikuleo, son of Haku, attacks the victor and his partner. And at the point at which it looked like Finjuice might be okay, Bay came in and brutalized the injured knee with a chair. So Chris Bay is now a heel, though the crowd is going to have a hard time booing him, man. They just are. They love Chris Bay, and they're happy he's in the Bullet Club. Again, more problems that they're going to have to really figure out, but I'm glad to see Chris Bay in a prominent spot, etc., etc. Backstage, Scott D'Amore presided over a contract signing for the X Division match between Josh Alexander and Chris Sabin. Josh Alexander very quietly has done really MVP level work for Impact, and this ought to be a good one. Impact World Champion Christian Cage caught up with Sabin and offered him a position on his team for next week's 10-man tag against Ace Austin. I didn't talk about that setup that they did, why Christian Cage is wrestling in a 10-man tag thing against Ace Austin's team. But I guess at least he gave him a through line to have Christian constantly on the show and Ace Austin recruiting for their teams, though the reason for the match makes no sense whatsoever. And Impact, I just wish they would just tighten that kind of shit up, man. I just wish they would tighten this kind of stuff up. We got Macklin against Petey Williams in another match that was pretty good, but again, pretty short match because they just had a lot of business to do constantly. We teased the Canadian Destroyer by Petey Williams, of course, but No Way, no longer Jose, gets that conga line in there. And so the distraction allowed Macklin to flatten Petey Williams and score the win. So that is almost every match has had some kind of distraction. Fuck, it's just such sloppy stuff by Impact. They can't afford to go that way. They can think of a million ways to skin this cat. And it just, especially on a week where SmackDown was unbelievably good, Dynamite was fantastic and got their second highest rating of all time, and even Rampage managed to do really, really well. And NXT did great in a match, in a show that very few people watched. They just can't afford to do this not so great stuff. I'm sorry, I keep going on and on about it, but that's what I'm here to provide, right? I got Moose against Eddie Edwards. They gave some time for this match. And at the end of it, Moose delivers the lights out after super interference from a billion people and Morrissey and all this kind of stuff. And at the end, basically the whole point is the baby faces come and clear it out, so we have our two 5-person teams for next week's main event. The post-match brawl was really, really good, and it's going to hopefully set things up really well for that 5-on-5. But I got to say, some of the ways that they got there in the course of the show, it's almost like setting this thing up, the 5-on-5 and the main event for this week, mattered, and everything else did not. And definitely got less attention, and it feels like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing similar finishes and that kind of thing. So that's my take.